to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
Hello and welcome to Waterplank, in which I play Dark Souls and attempt to go through the entire game using nothing more than the plank shield. Now, you may ask why, and I recently did my first video using a capture card, which was taking on the Asylum Demon with just the plank shield. Now, from that I was inspired to just, see how far I could go with just that. So, without further ado, I'm not actually recording this live, since I only just set up the card and hadn't quite figured out how to do so. So this commentary's been done afterwards, so I know what's coming, and though hopefully later I'll actually get some live recording done for my videos. This started off with taking quite a beating. The shield has a lot much less of a range than the spear and Titanite catchpole, which I'm used to using. And on top of that, it barely does any damage, since hey, it's a shield, it's meant to stop attacks rather than deal them. In hindsight, this was probably a big mistake trying to take him on first, since there's the fire bombs above, and with a weapon like so, it's not going to, wasn't going to end well, particularly. One thing I must say though, with using the shield, is I've figured out a few things that are pretty useful with it, but ultimately the best way to use them is just trying to push them to their death if you can, so I did that on a few occasions, and yeah, I panicked when that first happened. I'm used to falling off there, because every now and again it just locks onto another hollow and I end up going to attack something that's not there and falling off. So, but I'm pretty grateful I didn't fall off, since as I found out, when you're hollow as a black person, you turn out actually black, which was interesting to find out, but more of an eyesore than the actual hollow initially. So yeah. I'm not sure exactly how long I'm going to go through the game using only this, since it's not exactly the most efficient of weapons, and whilst right now, although struggling, I'm able to make progress, I'm not sure how long that's going to go on for, especially against some of the later bosses. I mean, can you imagine just taking on the Four Kings with this? So, I think ultimately I'll see how far I can get using only the plank shield, but I'll probably end up making it so that I'll just use weapons in the left hand instead, which makes them useful for only one attack, and if I'm dual wielding, it's going to be the shield. I'm almost definitely going to end up using the bow and or magic, since hey, I'm not going to progress too much if I just try sticking this and stealing what, 13 damage per hit now. It's got scaling of D with strength, so even so that's only like an increase of 1 every time I level that up, and sometimes it doesn't, so it's going to be terrible, even when upgraded. Yeah, the main trick with the shield is trying to take them on one at a time, since I can deal with that. One enemy is close enough to actually distinctly hit him, like so, but at the same time, when you try taking on multiple enemies, it becomes exponentially harder, since it's a slow weapon, it's not a very good weapon, and it requires a lot of just beating to a pulp. Then another thing I found out was that and this does make sense, is the shield doesn't actually allow for backstabs, parries, ripostes, or plunging attacks. Although you do increased damage from plunging attacks, giant enemies don't get the lovely animation you do when you hit them with another weapon. So that makes things awkward, but not too problematic. Well, my plan of doing that in one take sort of flopped, because the phone just went, as you probably noticed, so rushing to this bonfire now. One time with one of my characters, I got all the way through here in New Game Plus, with all of the souls from killing Gwyn, got right to the door and got invaded, died, on my way back fell off the cliff, lost all those souls, and some ridiculous amount of humanity, so always get nervous with this first bonfire now. Now that's lit though, that should be fine. Well, it's fine. Getting used to the shield is... I'll get used to it. Hopefully I'll be able to get further than I think I'll get with it, but... Took an arrow to the head. I do love the little difference of animation when you get hit in the head by an arrow, just different sound effect, louder thunk. I think if there's one thing I have grown to really love with the shield is the dual-wielded strong attack. Does that. It puts the shield in front of you and as you strike, and it actually I was fighting some enemies and at one point before I started recording, and also sometimes during this potentially, and I found out that doing so actually did still block attacks whilst you're doing the attack. So now speared armoured hollows were the one enemy which I've always enjoyed fighting, since they move slowly so you can get away to heal. They're very easy to parry. Found out that with the plank shield, dual wielding really is a necessity for getting past it, since you can't attack multiple times or it'll hit the shield if you're only using one hand. But with such short range, it made things awkward, since if I screwed up the parry, I took the damage and then wouldn't have time to run away. Yeah, I forgot to go to the trader the first time, but I did make my way back there eventually to pick up some armor. Mainly because the last time I started a Deprived character, my sister came in at one point and just started complaining, so... I tried a different approach this time. I'm so used to just rushing in, taking out the archer, and being able to turn around and deal with the enemies, but nope, I had to try a more careful method to actually hit them and kill them one at a time. Though once again utilising the cliff as my friend. Took quite a bit of damage there, and even after healing, tried parrying again and just took damage all over again. One thing I will know about using the flank shield is I'm likely to progress even more slowly than my first run, since in the first run I was pretty confident early on, since I spent an entire 2 days fighting my way through the catacombs. Well, I didn't get to the catacombs, the skeletons in front of the catacombs, and I became so proficient at actually killing them that when I finally found out that that wasn't the way to go from when I was talking with someone, it turned out that I didn't even notice the amulet for the first time. So. Getting hit by the spear a couple of times. Hopefully also trying to play like this will improve my parrying, even though it's not quite as useful as with any other weapon. Right, and now I go to the trader. This time.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls. Everything's for sale.
So yeah, got the chain leggings, put them on.
Thank you kindly.
Oh, that was another thing which amused me, is how when holding the plank shield in two hands, it looks as though it's trying to cover up. Yeah, and
Oh,
so yeah, I checked my my weight first to see whether it was worth buying anything, and then I changed my mind with the armor, since I could get both the helm and the gauntlets
oh,
for
thank you.
at that time.
Come back
But
soon.
I'd only just be able to get the armor and nothing else. So, and then I've not actually used the armor because I'm going to try and use the fast roll, since that is my main form of defense at the moment. Something else I noticed is the boards for some reason just glitched and were floating this time, so that was amusing to see. I also quite like the look that I ended up with just the chain sets without the top. Makes me think of Dante slightly from Dante's Inferno, but it wasn't deliberate, and it just amused me afterwards. The fact that I can't parry is also kind of makes parrying when there's multiple enemies pointless, since I can't get the immunity from the riposte. So yeah, I've set up. I think I'm going to probably break this into parts, since I recorded more in a single session, but I ideally want to keep it sort of around 15 minutes per episode, since I kind of want well, when I watch videos, it's sort of this with that sort of time frame gives me time to stop. So I'll probably end it here and continue shortly.